were you?
I just turned 23 after the accident. It was like 2 months after I turned 23, my son turned 3 years old.
And what year was this?
2013, November.
Dude, that's incredible so far, this story.
Yeah.
Because we want to hear the
I'm
rest.
almost just speechless of what you've gone through to this point. It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing that you, just listening to you, knowing that you still are cognitively there.
Yeah.
You haven't just lost your marbles 100%. I mean, I'm sure there was a time where you felt like you were, but you know.
There was a time where I believe I was 16 or 17 years old. My mental health was so bad with the girlfriend at the time. Her name was Jennifer Baines. That one night, it was I think our 3-year anniversary. She wanted to drink alcohol, and I wanted to do mushrooms. So I ended up doing mushrooms, and she ended up, drinking alcohol. Well, later that night, the drugs got a hold of me, my mind got a hold of me, and it just, things weren't good that night.
On a bad trip.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very bad. It was, I think, one of the worst times of my life. So later that night, went down in her kitchen, grabbed a knife, went outside, and was pacing back and forth and talking to whoever was not there. And she comes outside and she's like, "Sean, what are you doing?" And of course, I'm out of my mind. I put the knife behind me and I say nothing. And she walks towards me and I say, "I'm not going to hurt you." She said, "Sean, I know this." Well, I ended up pulling the knife out and putting it up to my neck and pushing as hard as I can. She screams. She freaks completely out, runs inside, and her mom's like, "Jennifer, what's the matter?" She's like, What? And I just remember how she said it, and her mom's reply, she said, "Sean just stabbed himself." And she said, "He did what?"
Yeah.
In a high-pitched screaming, like, what the hell? And I just remember I couldn't feel blood running down. I just felt my shirt and chest wet because I was not there. And I walked towards her front door, and her mom comes outside and does a curling scream. And the only thing I said was, "Call my dad."
Yeah.
And she said, "No, we have to call the cops." I said, "No, please." And eventually she just called my dad. My dad showed up. They stopped the bleeding. So she called the paramedics also, I'm assuming? No. It was luckily it was deep, but luckily it
didn't
just
hit an artery or whatever.
Yeah, it was just the tip of the knife that went in.
Okay.
And luckily, it's just, just another part of the story, part of the madness,
Yeah.
That, you gotta take life for granted. So it's, I get, I will never understand why people take their lives, but I've been very close. I get it, Sometimes it's
so
I don't know.
So there's a little side point with that, and maybe some people listening will it'll help them, because there's a lot of stuff coming out, science and things like that, saying that hallucinogenics aren't really damaging your brain and things like that. Okay, fine, whatever. But it's what people do when they're hallucinating that's dangerous. And this is exactly the point right there. What you ended up doing to yourself because of the hallucinogenic. It's not that it was like damaging your brain. I still think some of them do, but it's the point that you were so far gone that you end up doing things. I mean, I had my brother's friend. He ended up jumping off a cliff. They were out hiking, and he was on some hallucinogen, and he ended up thinking he could fly. Jumped off a cliff and he died.
Yep.
And, you know, if he was in his right mind or even just high, he probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And it's just, wow. So,
yeah, I completely understand that, because there was a time I was tripping with one of my best friends that passed away, Jason Pittman, and we were on the balcony of the third floor of my third floor apartment, and it's snowing, and it's a blizzard outside, and I told my buddy, hey, Jason, let me jump off. It'll be like jumping into a pillowcase. And he's like, no, Sean, don't do that. That wouldn't be good. So, you know,
yeah,
I get it. You know, people, when you're in that state of mind, or not even in a state of mind, think things, you know, irrational things,
right.
And you think it'll be okay. But I mean, in reality, you're not in the right frame of mind. So
right.
it's
okay.
So
wow, man. So let's go to the your accident. So far, we can totally attest that this guy has an iron will, right?
Oh yeah,
Totally has an iron will, because he's here talking to us after everything he's gone through.
I've seen him at the physical therapist, like doing some crazy shit.
Yeah, I watched some of that. Yeah.
So
yeah, pretty amazing, man.
I appreciate it, but you know, I got bigger and better things once this coronavirus stops.
Yeah.
And we're allowed to come back. I got bigger stuff planned. I already came up with crazy ideas, and I've asked the therapist that, you know, hey, you want to try it? And they're like, sure, why not?
That's interesting, because with my brain injury, I made crazy plans of what I was gonna do, and I accomplished a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen yourself? You're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Really? That's amazing what you're doing, man. I love it.
Thank you.
So about the accident, it was November 10th. It was me and my son's mother just called it. I've just called it quits like 2 weeks before, after 9 years, and it was one night my buddy hit me up and he's like, hey, Sean, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. I'm sitting around the house. I was down. I was depressed. I didn't want to do nothing. And he's like, hey, let's go out. There's, a couple girls at the bar, and I'll pay for everything. I'll pay for all your drinks. I'll pay for everything. I was like, no, I'm good. I'll stay in. Well, it was like 30, 40 minutes later, I hear a bang at my door. Well, I open it, and of course it's my buddy Matt, and he's like, hey. He's like, I'm not taking no for an answer. Get ready real quick. We're going out. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm not going to sit around. I'm not going to be depressed, all that. All right, cool. So we ended up, hitting the bar up the street and meeting up with a couple girls. Stayed at the bar. It was like 1 a.m. I think we left 1:30. And I remember getting in the car with them. I remember he did a big burnout leaving the bar. Then I don't remember coming down the Powder Factory Hill. I don't remember getting on state route 22 and 3. I just remember we were at a light again, and he does a burnout and just speeds up because he was driving a stick, and I knew there was going to be a curve in the road in a kind of a big turn. I was like, Matt, slow down. I was like, Matt, come on, slow down. And I'm screaming at Matt, slow the hell down, stop the car. And the last thing I remember was the car kicking sideways. I'm yelling, oh shit. And we hit the guardrail, and I remember hitting it, and the car jumped on top of it and started sliding down the guardrail, and it flipped once, and I just remember tossing in the car, flipping like around in the car, and that was the last thing I remember. Then from what my father told me was, once I got to Miami Valley in Dayton, Ohio, I was laying there, and I asked him to pick up my arm. I was like, Dad, pick up my arm. And he said, why? And I said, because I can't lift it. And I knew something was wrong, but I was just broke my neck. I was about to go in for surgery. I didn't fully know what was happening because I was under drugs and whatever else they gave me. Then I woke up. It was a couple days later, in my family, like my two older sisters were there, my mom and dad, my son's mother, and a couple other people. And I'm in a hospital, but I can't move. I can't talk. I can't do anything.
That's the first thing you remember?
That's the first thing I remember, yes.
And how long was this from your accident?
Yeah, I think it was like a week, maybe a week or two. So I couldn't talk. All my family's crying, and I couldn't say anything. They just said, "Sean, you're in an accident," and they showed me myself through, I think it was a cell phone or a mirror, and yeah, that was a blow.
Yeah,
that was.
Do you? So what happened to the driver?
To this day, I believe he ended up he ended up hurting his, I think it was his arm or leg somehow, and had to get a skin graft.
Yeah.
But other than that, besides like bruises and cuts, nothing. Yeah, he walked away fine.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I ended up breaking my neck, damaging my C3 and C4 vertebrae, and having a incomplete spinal cord injury. And my C3 vertebrae got knocked out of alignment and locked over my C4, and they had to use a hammer to knock my C3 off my C4 and fuse my vertebrae back together.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was 8 months in the hospital, ICU. It was, ventilator, had a halo on, went full cardiac arrest, had infections, had sepsis, blood clots. I've been collapsed lungs, punctured lungs. I've had, I can't even count how many bronchoscopies I've had. So yeah, it was like 7 months in a long-term acute aftercare where I had to, relearn to talk, relearn to, swallow, relearn to eat, relearn to breathe on my own, get off the ventilator.
This is 2013?
Yeah, that's 2013.
Okay.
It was, 2013 November. So for the next, it was the next couple months, because I remember it was around Christmas time. I had Christmas in the hospital room with my son, and had, my family members and friends bring a little tree, and they went out shopping and got gifts, and still made sure, even under, me hooked up to machines, keeping me alive and pumping food into me, that, we still had a Christmas. So that was really awesome.
So it's just amazing to me that your attitude is so good to this day. Like you could, and I'm sure a lot of people would have expected you to fly off the handle because of your past experiences, like trying to commit suicide and stuff like that. But from what I see of you, you're just always getting after it.
Yeah, I've came to the conclusion, I've been blessed with life every day. I've had all the stuff I've done in my life. All the car crashes I've been in, all the, bridge jumping and cliff jumping and street racing and doing, 175 in a car with buddies, and just all the just crazy dumb shit. Life. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So do you feel like you learned that because of this situation, or do you feel like you always had it, or where does that come from?
I feel like it might have always been inside me, but I never knew how to bring it out.
Yeah.
If it was inside of me, I never knew how to take the anger, the rage, the pain, the you know, just